Hello and welcome to Earth Calling. We're your hosts, Ed and Lazlo. Every week we bring you a fresh slice of online content, sorting through the likes, the memes, the insta-Queens, the swipes, the scrolls, and the Twitter trolls. Together, we're laying down our 21st century digital legacy. So sit back, relax, and buckle in. This is Earth Calling.
Well, hello there, folks. It's great to have you back on Channel Ireland today.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Who invited, Pastor Roberts to the equation?
Just for a bit of context, Earth Callers, Ed gave me a bit of feedback when I started my usual intro this episode. He said, look, Lazlo, I think, firstly, it doesn't make sense when you say, welcome Earth Callers to Earth Calling. It's very clunky and doesn't really, flow well. And then he said, Lazlo, just be you. Just let yourself, let yourself
go.
Let yourself go. So,
well, it turns out that the real you is actually a sort of a kind of confused Irish pastor.
Fergus from the back room. He's not even client facing. Yes. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in again. Ed, any news from your side? How are you in the land of podcast celebrity? How are you faring?
I'm doing really well. I've had a haircut, that's my big news, and for those who are tuning into our new Instagram video content, you will see that I've been sheared like a sheep that's been out on the moorland for far too long. I've been brought in and trimmed down to size. Slightly sharper cut than I was expecting, but I think she was a bit excited to be back at the scissors after so long. But no, it was great. I've had a cut.
Back at the swivelling chair, yeah. Back at the swivel chair.
Sweeney bloody Todd.
I have not had a cut, and anyone who is following us on Instagram and will eventually see the video content that we release for this episode will definitely be able to confirm that I am shaggy as the sheep which is Ed's friend on the moors but didn't visit the barbershop because barbershops are still not open in my city.
And you haven't resorted for the kind of lockdown 1.0 self-shave situation, which I think is for the best, although you could perhaps comb it. I don't know. Anyway, let's stop with the insults. But no, yeah. This is a nice segue, as we like to segue. I wanted to highlight our Instagram account, which many of you follow us on, but if you don't, head on over to earth_calling_pod, because we have actually started doing some video content which we think you might enjoy. Little clips, little funny bits. Anyway, I'm just going to share a little bit of feedback from somebody that messaged us this week. I will keep her anonymous, but where is she from? Let's say she is from South Africa, okay? And so she says, Ed and Lazlo, ! Excited. I've been a mega fan of your podcast ever since I went on a date with a guy about a month ago, and later in the evening, at the strangest of moments, he started playing one of Earth Calling's early episodes. A risky move on his part, but one that went down a treat. A highlight of the date, no doubt. I've recommended Earth Calling to lots of friends who've also loved it. Big fan. So
hang on a second. There's just so much to discuss here because I would argue that a date where one of the two parties is suggesting listening to an entire 40-minute podcast episode is perhaps not one generating the kind of normal levels of conversation that would mean a good date.
I also love the fact that she's referred to one of the early episodes, and not only is that a bit of a flex, showing that she knows, it's a bit like referring to kind of Kurt Cobain's back catalogue, the early stuff, the good stuff, showing she's a true fan. Because if I'm honest, I'm slightly nervous about some of those early episodes where we were still finding our feet. But so she's probably listened to this at this date, and how badly was the date going where the guy's gone?
Want to kick back with a podcast? Want to
podcast and chill.
Oh, we both said that at the same time. Yeah.
But no, big shout out to our listener. We shall call her Anna from Cape Town, not her real name Anna. not her real town. Could be, actually. I'm not sure where she's from. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, and do feel free to share other similar stories about where you're listening and how you like to get the content download. I've heard a lot of people like to listen whilst walking their dogs. Less interesting, but probably more practical. So, the platform on the chopping block this week, Lazlo.
Yes.
It is called Nextdoor.
People
have looked at the title, they're confused, they're thinking, what is this?
They're thinking girl next door, they're thinking, nosy neighbours. And in a way, it's almost in the intersect of it. It's not really. So, yes, I did not really know much about Nextdoor before researching for this episode, and I've since discovered the wonderful world of these neighborhoods that are connected online in this kind of Facebook newsfeed type community, and just the various interesting topics that come up in this kind of community setting. And obviously we'll talk about that later, but Ed, I'd like to know who thought up this fantastic idea and what the story is of its founding.
Absolutely. Well, one other thing I would just say, another great example of interaction with our fan base is that this was a suggestion when we posted on Instagram what platform should we cover. So again, won't reveal the real name, but shout out to not her real name, Samantha, who suggested Nextdoor. Thank you so much, Samantha.
From Joburg, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Also, Earth Callers, you do have a voice, okay? Samantha and Anna have proven that you have a voice.
Anyway, Nextdoor. So, Lazlo, you're quite right. It is a neighborhood-style platform. It is essentially like bringing Facebook to the local hood, the local neighborhood. And I think, it's in some ways I would liken it to Mumsnet meets Facebook meets some geolocation app. Find My Friends, maybe. And essentially, yes, it enables neighbours to talk to each other online about things that are going on in their community. So in terms of the founding story, which we always like to do here at Earth Calling, this one we returned to our roots. We did a bit of a segue via Sweden for Spotify, and we went to Japan for the emoji, and we also went to, unknown for blockchain and cryptocurrency with Satoshi Nakamoto. This week we're back to California and San Francisco for a great founding story of Nirav Tolia, Sarah Leary, and Prakash Janirakman, and David Weissman, who founded this platform in 2008. Always surprising how long ago these things were founded. But so Nextdoor was founded in 2008. Early investors included the likes of Benchmark Capital and Shasta Ventures. We see them in the mix a lot with some of these great Silicon Valley success stories. They raised a whole bunch of venture money in 2012 and kicked off the platform for real in 2014, where it started gathering strength and much more users. Now, that's kind of the bare bones of the founding story itself. I wouldn't say there's any real highlights except for the following, which is a rather interesting anecdote about the founder. So, Nirav Tolia in 2014, the then CEO, was in fact charged with felony hit and run for allegedly fleeing the crash of two vehicles on Highway 101 in Brisbane, California, which left a woman injured. Now, I would just like to highlight a quotation that comes with this anecdote, which is the following. It is ironic that the CEO of a company that is holding itself out as trying to promote neighbourliness, crime watch, and things like this, has himself fled the scene of an accident that he caused and does not bother to call 911 or stay around to even exchange information or see if he has caused any injuries, said the woman's attorney. So yeah, I mean, he pleaded no contest and served 30 days of community service in lieu of jail time. What, by the way, felony. You always hear this in America. Felony. Yeah, it was a felony charge. Classic. Oh, he pleaded it down to a misdemeanor. And it's like, what is that? Misdemeanor sounds like you're sort of spitting gum out on the street. Maybe that is what it is.
Isn't felony just at the top of the hierarchy of severity of crime? And I realise that's an incredibly convoluted sentence. But a felony is like it's a major crime. It's considered a major crime, right?
But is that, I don't know, because is there also a state versus federal level stuff? Because some things are punishment in federal prison versus in state prison or the county jail. And I wonder whether felony is only for stuff that's breaking federal law, i.e. the US
Maybe that's
law.
it.
I don't know.
Maybe that's it. Maybe felony is a federal infringement.
I think it might be a federal crime, but it's all these terms like felony and misdemeanor and Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent, and but a hit and run. So naughty Nirav. But subsequently, the platform has risen to international prominence. In 2017, they acquired the UK local social network service Street Life in a multi-million-pound deal, and the platform has continued to grow ever since. It's faced various concerns about privacy, like many of these social networks over the years, but by and large has ticked along at a pretty impressive growth rate and is the topic of discussion for today. With that in mind, Lazlo,
yes,
would you like to run us through your experience of the platform? Did you sign up? I'm imagining that you created an account.
Absolutely.
Probably knowing you decided to create an account for some kind of niche area that you thought would be funny rather than actually making one for Berlin, or...
Upsettingly, you're spot on. I decided not to go down the path of fact. I very much went exploring the path of fiction. And I'm very glad to announce that in terms of my internet self, I have moved to Charleston, South Carolina. So I'm from the deep south, and
the only reason you chose this was so that you can get out.
It was so I could take the spotlight for once from you, and to pump my own accents as opposed to having to be on the other side of the screen.
Good. Okay.
But actually, I just wanted to see what rural Americans were talking about. Although, actually, I went for a city because I didn't, I suppose the Glassdoor communities of rural South Carolina are not too populated.
Nextdoor. Glassdoor is something else, but anyway, yeah.
Glassdoor is something else. Yeah. Annoyingly, by the way, I wanted to change my neighborhood after perusing Charleston to somewhere like Harlem, but you can only change your neighborhood once every 30 days.
Which we can't be moving that often.
Exactly.
But walk us through. So how does it work when you sign up? You actually,
It's very simple. You sign up. You put in your postcode, your address, and it just plumps you in the kind of vague neighborhood or area that Nextdoor has designated for your address. And then the main view you get is basically, imagine a Facebook newsfeed where only the posts you see are from the residents of that neighborhood. And they're kind of tagged according to the vague theme of that post. People can comment, like, share all the stuff. For Charleston, at least, I managed to identify several main areas of posts, which are not the official tags given to these posts. They're just
By the way, is it Charleston, just Charleston, or are there different neighbourhoods within Charleston?
It's called North Central. It's called North.
Did you look it up? Is that a rather nice part of town, or is that downtown?
Well, I mean, judging from the kind of the various needs and complaints of the community, like, can someone tell me what this bird is? It's fairly, these people don't have too many problems.
Okay.
And they're recommending the local Danish cafe. So the concerns of North Central Charleston, the accent will get better. Please bear with me. It will get better. I've got to ease into it. Part of the reason I chose.
By the way, I'm pretty sure, at least when I signed up, you have to use your full name, and in any post that you add to the platform, it says your full name to include, like, to encourage people being honest and talking to other people directly and without hiding behind pseudonyms. And so the idea of this, who is this fine, upstanding young gentleman Lazlo Barclay? I gather he's new to the neighborhood, and somebody's told me he's coming in from Berlin, which sounds mighty foreign to me.
You always go so colonial, but anyway, I'll try and emulate that vague theme, that vague tone of accent, because let's keep it consistent. Anyway, so in North Central Charleston, that I'd say that there are four main areas I identified of post type, and one of these themes I would just call very simply meet and greet. So you've kind of got someone just being like, hello everyone, my name's Bill Browder, been living in North Central 40 years, just moved down to East Almond Street, great to meet y'all. And then you get people commenting and being like, great to meet you, Bill. I personally lived on Almond Street for 2 years. Those pigeons get on your nerves, don't they?
They sure do down on Almond Street, not to be confused with Peanut Street just up the road. Oh.
Because there are, of course, older members of the Nextdoor community, and particularly in North Central, I found the average age is definitely on
the demographic
on the higher side. And it's just funny because these older members of the community, they're all very cordial and very polite, and these threads can just go on forever where everyone's just chipping in and being like, so great to meet y'all. It's like, are you actually talking about anything, or is it just agree? Anyway.
Oh, well, thank you kindly. Well, welcome to the community. Oh, well, thank you. Oh, no, thank you, sir. Yeah. But that's, okay, so that's meet and greet.
That's meet and greet, yes. Another peculiar theme to the North Central Charleston community is what I like to call "What's this item?" or "What's this item?" in English speak. Now, this is where, some confused person has just found an item possibly in the cellar of their house, and they've posted a photo of it to the group just being like, "What is this?" And this thread in particular was just so funny because a woman who, let's call her Carol Smithson.
Oh, very nice.
The surname could have been easier to pronounce.
I think
Smadson. Carol Smadson. She posted one day ago in Harleston Village. She posted a picture of this kind of weird tool which has got kind of 4 little inclines in this rack, which looks like you grill it. And she says, "Does anybody know what this is?" And it's just so funny because the comments couldn't be more American. So Cindy chips saying, "Deep frying donuts? Just a guess."
then you been deep frying those donuts again, Betty?
Then David chips in, it's a cob corn roaster."
I bloody love roasted corn. That's great. And to be fair, I love donuts as well. Yeah. I'm wondering, you didn't give us a very good mental picture of what this instrument is, but in my head it's kind of like the head of a rake, I would say. Is that...
Well, firstly, I want to say I was more concerned with doing the accent correctly, which is definitely why the actual description suffered. Let's go back to my...
so it's essentially a series of inclines, is what you said. I don't know what that meant at all.
I think it's because I recognise that the word incline would be quite good to pronounce in a southern drawl. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's got a handle. The handle is leading to this rectangular kind of mesh, like wire mesh.
Yep.
And in that mesh, you've got these...
it's a tennis racket.
It's like a rectangular tennis racket, but there's only...
Or one of those electric fly swatters. Bzz.
Sort of, but imagine that you've got like 4 bottle racks in that metal mesh, so like bottle holders, which is why if you imagine someone commented saying it's a cob corn roaster, and by the way, I'm pretty sure it is a cob corn roaster. Maybe I should just say it's a cob corn roaster.
Okay, so we know it's the cob corn roaster.
I just didn't.
What's amazing is that all of our audience have now got a cob corn roaster. They can picture it immediately. Like, who knows what a cob corn roaster looks like?
But the best thing is, so after David chipped in with saying it's a cob corn roaster, Matthew agreed, corn grill thing, and then Barbara said definitely corn on cob holder for the grill, and finally, just to top it off, Francis, Francis has realised that Nextdoor has a very convenient image comment feature, so Francis posts an image of this with corns in it, saying, "Missing the top, I think." And this thing's meant to have a top, which makes a lot of sense.
So good. Yeah. I love it how these people are just sitting at home and what they've seen already the correct answer given by the second poster, and they've all still chimed in anyway. I don't know whether it's to sort of demonstrate their knowledge of the corn cob roaster product line, or maybe it's affirming the previous one. It's like what he said. Yep, that you got it right there, boy. That's a corn.
I think it is. It's also confusing because the like structure, at least to a millennial, the like structure does not make sense to me because the original person who spotted it was a cob corn roaster has actually got fewer likes than the second person who just said corn grill thing. So
maybe corn grill thing's a bit more kind of just hits to the point. Corn grill thing.
Yeah, corn grill thing. So that was... and then, sorry, lastly on this, I just want to say that it's quite funny because Jim, he pipes up an hour later, after this has basically been put to bed by the image. I don't want to assume, but I think Jim might be one of our older members of the community, and he just pipes up saying, "Wine carrier." Like, Jim, we've put this to bed. We know what it is.
We're roasting corn, Jim. Why you keep trying to bring your Merlot to the occasion? Yeah.
Exactly. And then another very prominent area of discussion in this Charleston community is, I want to label it Crime Watch. It's all the people looking out for the community, making sure everyone stays safe. And this post by dear Lisa really stood out to me. So she starts off, stolen purse while eating outside. I feel I made progress with the accent, and then I really took a step back there. Yeah.
Stolen purse while eating outside. Okay. Yeah. Grammatically, that could mean all sorts of things. Does that mean that the purse was eating? Does that mean
exactly?
That,
it's kind of the bear eats, shoots, and leaves. Anyway,
exactly.
Me and friend were eating dinner tonight outside at Sorghum and Salt on Cumming Street.
Oh, that's great.
And around
Sorghum
9:20,
and Salt.
Sorghum and Salt. It sounds like something from Harry Potter, Nocturne Alley.
Yeah. Birmingham and Bots, whatever.
Borgin and Burks, anyway. And around 9:20, a man walked by our table and then came back and grabbed my friend's purse, ran down the street and jumped in his running Kia SUV and turned left on Cannon Street and almost hit a group of girls, so you should also hear yelling if you have a video. That's
all one sentence.
That's all one sentence. Part one. Part two. If anyone lives in that area and has something on their outdoor camera that we could give to the police, it would be helpful. The vehicle had out-of-state plates. We think Idaho, and we're not sure on the color. I have reported this information to the police.
The pesky Idaho bunch. They're always a real racketeering type.
Those Idaho, the Idaho mafia.
A lot of potatoes in Idaho, actually. The Idaho russet is the most widely used potato, I believe, in the States, and is what is used by McDonald's to give their French fries that wonderful long out of the box kind of curvy vibe. So
wow.
a little factoid just to throw in there, the Idaho russet.
I'm not going to lie, I'm going to struggle to find a compartment in my mind to kind of label that fact with. I hope our listeners...
Just wedge it in between kind of vegan recipes of the year and chess masterpieces part 3,
Oh, wedge it in wedges.
Wedge it in wedges. Yeah. Very nice. Potato wedges.
Yeah.
So on my side, I decided to do something very similar, except being the honest Tom that I am, I actually went for my own area. So I signed up for the Gloucester Road Nextdoor.
Now this is actually, from my perspective, this is a bit of a relief, to be honest, because it means that we're probably guaranteed a segment where Ed doesn't actually whip out an accent, unless, and I'm very fearful of this, unless he's dug up the only posts on this bloody Gloucester Road community, which are, by some Australian or by some...
Yeah, exactly. Hi everyone, I'm Brett from Sydney, just looking to crack a few jars and make some friends around here. Where's a good pub at? No, sadly there wasn't any of that. But I looked at Gloucester Road, which is where I live, as those who followed me very briefly on Strava before I disabled it will know. And I found a couple of fun things, a lot of the usual stuff that you mentioned about crime, lots of people pointing out very usefully, I'm sure, sort of loitering with intent, which is always that's another good phrase that you hear bandied around a lot, loitering with intent as opposed to loitering without intent. Not sure what that looks like. But so I found a particularly amusing one which I wanted to share, and this is from someone who we shall call Sophie. Can't do an accent for her because I assume she's probably English, but anyway, so she goes, "Spider help, full stop. As a woman living by myself with a major fear of spiders, I would like to know if anybody in the Gloucester Road area would be willing to offer their help by ethical removal when I come across one, brackets, quite often. I'm willing to offer small financial reward for assistance in each case. Hope to hear from someone." Posted in the general feed. So, we'll pause there. Obviously, poor Sophie's obviously terrified of spiders. I was trying to think, is this actually an elaborate kind of... Is she actually a drug dealer? Is Spider actually crack cocaine? Is she actually selling all sorts of, I don't know what? But actually having, reviewed some of her other posts, I think she is actually just terrified of spiders. So anyway, we move into the comment section and we see a variety of responses. First comment up is from a German-sounding name. Let's call him Thomas. And he says, "Hello. It seems that spiders hate the smell of horse chestnuts. my neighbour had some years ago, and he had a real infestation, and he called in the pest controller, and he brought horse chestnut spray, and it seems there has been no problem since then. Worth a try, I think. Good luck.
There I was, even prefacing this section by saying that Ed wouldn't find a way to wedge in an accent, and he does. And I'm impressed, actually.
To Idaho russet wedge a few impressions in, but of course you saying that made me all the more keen to do it.
So horse chestnuts are the antidote to spiders, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So Sophie's then replied saying, "Hey, I'm going to try this. I actually already use peppermint and lemon in sprays and diffusers, and they definitely help. Thank you very much." And then someone's just come in, Alex we'll call him, going, "Happy to help. What is the reward, though, for a successful catch?" I think, okay. She replies, yeah, go on.
This guy is a spider bounty hunter, and he keeps his victims in glass cases. But it's like his trophies.
Exactly. Look, if I'm honest, Sophie, I know my way around a spider's web. I've seen a few in my time, but don't get out of bed for less than 200 quid. So, unless we're talking that kind of
did a bit of work for a lady called Charlotte, actually.
Very good.
Quite a large web. Yeah.
Very nice web, yeah.
Low hanging.
I've got experience in the Forbidden Forest, as it happens. Quite webby, that lot.
Yeah. Charming bloke, Aragog.
Yeah, took down Aragog, ethically, of course, as you specify in your description. She's then replied going, "Why, thank you. I would propose a rate equivalent to 1 hour's worth of cleaning, or double that for inconvenient time or size of spider. Plus any costs of travel would be reimbursed." I mean, so English.
Sorry, size of spider.
Cost of travel.
So Alex has kind of been like, "Of course, that is reasonable. Of course, if the spider exceeds 2.5 inches, I will have to charge double. But for a thumbnail size spider, I could do a smaller job."
Yeah, and how does a daddy long legs factor in? Because they're very spindly, but they've got
but
really
not
long
technically
diameter.
spiders either. So maybe he's got a totally different rate for spiders.
That's a real flex there. So talk us through that. Daddy long legs is not a spider, is it?
Well, now I'm worried because you think that was a flex. I just thought that was a. Hang on a second. You'll hear the sound of my keys frantically tapping away.
I thought that the daddy long legs was famous for its potent venom but inability to pierce skin with its weak teeth, and therefore is one of the most dangerous spiders, but also one of the most pathetically weak spiders.
Right. So okay, I'm just totally wrong. Daddy long legs is a spider.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone will also enjoy a little insight, which is that I control a lot of the editing of these podcasts, and we will definitely be leaving in that particular interlude. I'm sorry, Lazlo, but everybody should know the truth.
Well, I think it's about time for Lazlo's listicles. Lazlo's listicles.
Lazlo's listicles. Boink.
Still working on that jingle. Don't worry, Earthcallers, we will have one.
Well, maybe we could outsource it to the fans. I think I've said that before. Nothing through just yet, but anybody's musically gifted.
Not much feedback from that side. But anyway, for this segment, I thought we could return to South Carolina, to Charleston. And what I'm going to ask you to do, Ed, is one of the features of Nextdoor is this segment called Local Deals, which is where businesses get to advertise their services with, appetizing discounts. And obviously they're quite specific to the area in which these businesses operate. So I'd really like you to try and guess some of the industries or some of the businesses which are advertising their services at discounts on Nextdoor. So on the page that I've got for my very specific area of North Central, there are 10 services being offered. And I really want you to guess what services there are.
Excellent. Well, let me just situate myself right back in Charleston and have a little think about if I was wandering the streets of, North Charleston on a Friday afternoon in the sun. North Central. What would I be looking at? Well, I'd say there's got to be some nice sporting goods in there, and when I say sporting, I mean fishing and hunting. And so we probably got something from Big Bob's Billy Bass Shack, perhaps something like a nice fishing rod with some.
Sorry. The name of this business is theoretically Big Bob's Billy Bass Shack. It's kind of like, Bob, you've been doing this B thing for so long. Why don't you just end it on a B? Don't put in shack at the end.
Big Bob's Billy Bass Boathouse.
There we go.
So I think there's probably something from Big Bob's Billy Bass Boathouse, which is maybe some bait, some chum for the fishing, for the carp.
Chum.
And,
you just wanted to say the word chum, didn't you?
Some chum for the carp, and maybe some fishing rods. Otherwise, it could be kind of Dick's Sporting Goods, which could be some hunting, if you're going to go duck hunting and you're wearing like some high-vis jackets. So I think there's the kind of hunting and outdoors category.
Let me just interject by just giving you a bit of help. So you've gone very much on this kind of outdoors and, let's say, goods. I want you to think more about services, and specifically neighborhood services.
Got it.
Think about the home.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it's a rather nice, well-heeled district, as you said. So I'm imagining there will probably be some pool maintenance services, probably. So people sort of offering to come around and clean your pool. You might have some landscapers or people who are willing to mow your lawn. If it's neighborhood services, maybe some kind of some dog grooming, perhaps, or pet-related services. I don't really know. It's hard to hard to situate.
It's tricky.
There.
It's tricky. I think once I talk you through them, you'll realize quite how immediately you can visualize what they are. Two of the services here are pressure washing of decks.
Like decking. I do love my decking.
So two of them, 50% off pressure washing, or soft washing as we call it. The deal's ending soon, so any Charleston locals tuning in today, please do make the most of that. And then, I love this because I have no idea what this means, but the company Coatings to Go has got a free concrete coating estimate.
Wait, concrete coating? Who's putting that on their house? Is that for sort of the doomsday bunker?
It might be for the doomsday bunker.
Pesky Joe Biden gets into power and we're all going to have to retreat into the bunker.
It might be that. I think the concrete coating is. I think it's probably for your porch, or the driving space where your car rolls up. You need. It's tricky to estimate yourself how much concrete that's going to be. You got to get some professionals.
True.
And then the last one is just quite vague, but it's just 10% off labor. So it's just labor. Just
man with a van type. Any labour, rather than a woman kind of turns up and gives birth. It's not that kind of. It's more.
It could be a discount on your childbirth, but just if you got any labour needed, they'll sort it out for a 10% discount.
10% off labour.
Yes.
Does that mean it's delivered in 8.9 months? Maybe 8.1. Bugger. No, 8.1. Shit. I'm so bad at maths.
What are you trying to do?
What's 10% of 9? 0.9, so that would be 8.1 months for the delivery if it's 10% off labour. It was a very convoluted joke for which I apologise.
Oof. And this episode of Lazlo's Listicles ends with an absolute stinker. And if this part is kept in by the ruthless editor of Earth Calling, who's already said they're going to expose my own inaccuracies, I would just hope that our listeners get to witness that.
Get to listen to my abysmal maths. Not only my abysmal maths, but my abysmal jokes. I will leave that in for sure as a token in exchange for some excellent listicles. So, frustratingly, I didn't do very well on that listicle. My historic form has been okay, but that was really quite bad. I clearly need to get a one-way ticket to Charleston and start to kind of acclimate with the local goods and services before I do the next iteration of the listicles.
Pack your cob corn grills as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pack your cob corn grill and get ready for 10% off any labour and a nice pressure wash of your deck. Well, I think that's probably a suitable note to end on. That concludes this episode of Earth Calling. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Do subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, sign up for notifications and give us a download. Helps us a huge amount. The final thing is scooting on over to our Instagram, where you can join our growing legion of fans who send us amusing anecdotes about their dates. And you can find us at earth_calling_pod. Earth Calling Pod. See you there.
Next time, Ed and I will be immersing ourselves in the murky world of online random video chat. So please make sure to turn on those webcams or leave them off, depending on your preference, as we get deep in the world of chat roulette. Things are gonna get really weird. But thanks for tuning in. Earth out.